I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Something was released today, and I do want to take a quick look at it because it is very important. It nicely ties up what we were talking about with our guest, Katherine Callahan. This is, in my opinion, even more damning to Sheriff Beeman. What we are looking at is the overhead of the dais up there, where they're at, and the podium. And we're also looking at a wide shot of the crowd and into the back of the room, which is very important. But along with this, we're also going to have a really good, and when I say really good, I mean the best that we're going to have, audio recording of their vocals when the sheriff is talking to the council members. And unfortunately, the sheriff says some things that I don't think put him on our side. And they definitely don't put them on Katherine's side. Okay, we're going to start this. We're not going to watch the whole thing, obviously. We're just going to watch the fight and then when he's up there. So what we're looking at here to set the stage, here's Cassie. She's the woman that gets kicked out right before Katherine does. She's sitting up right here in front. Katherine sits here in the third row. It's kind of hard to see, but right where my cursor is, right here, is where her tripod is, and that's where her camera is. Lorraine White and her husband, who you can see, who's the gentleman, Sean, who yells, at them to speak into the microphone, yada, yada. I knew he had to be close because you can hear him like he's sitting right there. They're right here behind in the fourth row. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're right here. And that's why you can hear him so clearly. And then Lorraine gets up to the podium and goes and talks. And she's the one that talks after Katherine is kicked out. So Katherine, you can see, is already in line to talk. And then what's also important is back here are some of the deputy prosecutors from the prosecutor's office. But then we also have right here, number 1, there's a deputy. Here's Beeman. Beeman normally leans into there. So the sheriff right here is here. Here's a deputy. I think there might be another deputy right around in here. So there's 1, possibly 2. Sheriff makes 3. Then there's 1 right here, 4, and 5. So there's 4 to 5 deputies in the back of the room. Note that before we start here. All right.
The same public comment.
Okay, here Katherine comes.
Process. State your name, where you're from, and 3 minutes, please.
Katherine Callahan. I'm a little confused. Maybe you can help me understand this. You guys just transferred money for the commissioners out of an insurance line. And that was their third request.
Okay.
Line. And now they're here today.
Now, interestingly enough, for whatever reason, the deputies start kind of getting in place. You notice? The one he moved off the wall, moved over here. So now we've got 1, 2, Beeman makes 3, 1 back here against the war makes possibly 4, and here's 5. So I think there's 5 back there. This is the only one that's questionable, but you've definitely got Beeman. You've got this guy, 2, 3, 4, possibly a 5th right there. But Katherine's talking.
For all kinds of money and all these different line items. So
oh, she jumps up to take a picture.
Listening to the statements
of Katherine.
Mr. Ecker, kind of sounds like they spent money before it was appropriate. It's kind of illegal. It sounds like you're going to need even more attorneys because as you give special privileges to people and they don't have to pay their fines, maybe some other community member will find that this is kind of not okay, that you're picking and choosing, and so you get sued again. At what point are the commissioners held accountable to pay their own dumbness? I don't know, whatever word you want to call it, because this is just absolutely ridiculous that how much money total tonight has he asked for? And he's saying, I'm going to come back, I'm going to ask you for even more. But yet we're not going to collect fines. We're not going to make sure that department heads are doing their jobs. I mean, this is absolutely out of control spending. And to me, it sounds like this is the most expensive commissioner's office yet to date.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak to this issue? If not, we have Tom, would you like to respond or make any
I'll
statement?
just make one comment that none of these lawsuits, none of this stuff, the commissioners have never been sued. We cover in the commissioner's budget, we cover all departments.
Right,
And like the solar farm, that's the planning
right.
for their attorney. We cover all of those costs. So these costs are countywide. They're not just our department.
Right.
But you do get tort claim. I mean, that's a regular process every year we get through the session.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
all get tort
And that's what
claim.
he's explaining. If another department gets sued, the commissioners are the ones. that have to
We're the
pay.
ones responsible
Right.
to pay for it.
Right.
And respond to it. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay.
common government.
All right. Is there any? No, man. Go.
No, the citizens are responsible for paying for it. I want to make sure that's aware. Okay, so he was able to respond. So Catherine, who's sitting down,
We get tort claim. I mean,
gets up.
that's-
She
that's a
thinks
regular
she's going to get a
process every year
respond
we
and be
get
like,
through
no,
the
he's
session.
lying.
Yes, we all get
They
And
have
that's what
been
he's
sued.
explaining. If another
watch her.
department gets sued, the commissioners are the ones. that have to
We're the
pay.
ones
She's
responsible.
not yelling. She's not screaming. I want to be real clear as we talk about this that the law that JD passed, I think it's illegal. But even if you want to talk about it for a moment and want to say, okay, we're gonna use it, it talks about it being a disruption. What Catherine's doing is not being disruptive. The disruption here is Ben Gale.
Responsible to pay for it. And
Right.
respond to it. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay.
common government.
All right. Is there any? No, man. Go sit down.
Ben Gale starts disrupting straight away. I mean, Catherine's not even got to the podium, not even really saying anything. The disruption is Ben Gale.
Go sit down. No, ma'am, you need to leave. Please.
I mean, nothing major's happening here. So he did not give Cassie one warning. He did not give her 2 warnings. He did not give her 3 warnings. He just simply says, I'm Ben Gale. I'm a dick, and you get to leave. I get to tell you when you leave or when you stay. You're gone. And he tells her she's gone.
Please leave.
And he didn't even, no one's even called for the sheriff's department. And the sheriff's deputy has already decided upon his own self that he's coming up here to get her. Now, if Sheriff Beeman is really on our side, should Beeman not have spoke up and said, hey, yo, deputy, don't go up there and get her. Stand on back here real quick. Or why didn't Beeman interject there?
Please leave. Yeah, we'll have an officer escort you out.
The
Excuse me,
deputy's
ma'am,
already
have a
moving
seat.
up there. I mean, look, he is already halfway there before he said it. Why didn't Beeman stop that?
Have a seat. Have a seat, or you can leave as well.
How is that fair that you're not listening to people?
Mrs. Callahan, have a seat now, or you can join them and
Make
leave.
sure you made your point that the people aren't allowed to speak. They sure are. On new money.
We allow appropriate comments.
That is probably one of the most damning things that he could have said.
I think mine was.
Ma'am?
You know what I had to say.
You can go ahead and leave as well.
You haven't done anything wrong.
You're out of order. Could I have somebody from the sheriff's department help Ms. Callahan out as well?
She,
You are outrageous. You guys are outrageous.
We'll continue the meeting, Sheriff, after one of your deputies can help Mrs. Callahan exit the chambers.
now I applaud the deputies. Other than that guy who I don't think is an actual deputy, I think he's the door bailiff, so he's used to guarding the door, and that's the reason he was Johnny on the spot. Whatever. I applaud the deputies for not moving. I give them credit. Now, what's scary about what Beeman did is now they see he moves. So now until something else happens, what if he's not there next time? They'll think, oh, well, Beeman did it, so we're going to kick everybody out now. So Beeman comes up here. Walks up to Catherine to get Catherine. Of course, as we know, she said, you can arrest me if that's the way that you want to go, but I did nothing wrong.
Well, the video's confirming what she had said, that she was sitting there, she was quiet, she's not being overtly loud, making rude hand gestures, flapping, flailing in the breeze.
Absolutely.
She's completely calm, collected, perfectly reserved, sitting in her seat.
Yep. I mean, yeah, absolutely. This whole show has been put on by Ben Gale. So now Beeman comes down here to have his little powwow. Keep in mind, they're not telling Lorraine White, who's right here, to go sit down. They're not telling her. They're not. Why are they not banging the gavel at her? How do they know she's not going to say something? I mean, what they did here was massively, massively wrong.
How do they know she's not going to say something inappropriate?
Yeah, right, absolutely. I mean, is she not, she's not Asian, so they knew. Now, okay, it's important to listen to the voices. And as you guys don't know who the voices are, I mean, you've been hearing Ben Gale talk, so you should be able to pick up his voice. Let's work through who we hear.
What's you passed the resolution? You got resolutions in the
Yes, but she was not recognized to speak. She was created.
So Beeman at this point is whispering, and he's really soft-spoken at this moment. And Ben Gale saying she's not recognized to speak. Ben Gale is who's speaking right now. The guy right here, Rob Steele, said the resolution is in the drawer over there. And that's what he said. And now Ben Gale right here in the black shirt is speaking to Beeman right here in this black shirt.
Getting a distraction to the meeting. She was speaking out of turn. Excuse me. We don't need to make this any more than what it is.
The attorney's talking to Beeman. Okay, Beeman is now talking. Now you can talk. And Beeman says, that brings me back to the ordinance. I'm going to back this up and listen. The voice that says, that brings me back to the ordinance. That's Beeman. Listen to this.
Ordinance resolution passes for
Sheriff, under the Stu state, and I don't know.
Okay, so now King Bullshit over here is talking. This is Mikhail Vaughn. He's talking.
Read this, Ted. Under the new state statute, the state legislature passed. It brings it back. I don't know if Councilman Gale, you read it. It brings it back to the county where we vote on the resolution, and then that is enforced by the county. State legislature passed that just last year. So, well,
Ted, go ahead. Right.
Now the attorney's talking quietly without a mic on.
Right.
And that's where this gentleman right back here, here's Catherine, and the gentleman right here says, can Ted at least turn his microphone on so we can hear him? Which they're right. We should be able to hear him. After Ben yells at Sean from the audience, that's where it's going to take it to where we need to hear.
Excuse me. Please be quiet. You're interrupting the meeting now as well.
There's no meeting going on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the council has...
Ben Gale's talking. The council has yada-da-da-da.
The ability to see that their meetings are conducted in an orderly manner.
In an orderly manner. The meetings were being conducted orderly.
Public is allowed to be here and play their part, but they're not allowed...
Play their part. See, you hear, he thinks it's a very minimal role that the public plays.
To disrupt or
there was no disruption going on. The disruption is this.
The meeting.
She has to be ejected the other way.
Now, Diane Lycan says she has to be ejected because we ejected the other one.
Yeah. So why, yeah.
Yeah. So why would we do her any different?
So why should she be treated any?
No, I'm just looking.
Now, Sheriff Beeman says, no, I know. And listen to what he says here. Now, Beeman is going to be the guy that's talking next. And listen to the conversation that Beeman says at this point.
No, I'm just looking at the state statute. What's the, like he says, the trespass at this point?
What does the state statute say? Is it trespass at this point? Come on, John Beeman. You know damn well that she is not trespassing. You also know that what they would be talking about is a misdemeanor, and you have officer discretion. You know that you're the elected constitutional sheriff, and you don't take your orders from a bunch of ignorant, dumbass, bald men and bald women sitting behind the dais playing like they're elected people. Okay? That's not how that works, bro. That really bothers me when he's like, so what is it? Trespass? I mean, what if they would have been like, yeah, it's trespass? You know, like that would. Now, thank God he didn't do anything, but why would you even bring that up?
Whatever the council comes back to, we pass, and which is that resolution, Councilman Gale.
Right.
That's what you got to follow. What
Right.
state statute.
That's not your jurisdiction. We just say reject it.
Yeah.
We just need her objected. That's, is what the Likens just said.
She just
Yeah.
reject it. What happens after that is.
Right.
I think you give a warning.
What happens after that is, she's basically saying that whatever happens after that's up to you.
And then
Yeah. A warning was given.
A warning was not given. They didn't give a warning, hey, stop, or you will be objected. He's like, sit down. Okay, you can leave too. That's what he said. That's not how this goes. They need to take a look at and state law, the unconstitutional law says 3 warnings.
Continue to disrupt the meeting, so she needs to be removed.
She
from
did
the
not
meeting.
continue to disrupt the meetings.
Well, that's listed.
There's no
Mhm.
charge.
There's no penalty to it, just ejection.
Okay.
And so he doesn't come back and be like, I'm going to make it real crystal clear with y'all. I ain't doing nothing to her. And I'm laying down the law. He comes back and says, I just want to be clear. So there's no penalty to it. Right. So he's like asking them, I just want to make sure you guys are, you're telling me there's no penalty here. Right. And the excuse I'm hearing from a couple random people are saying, well, he's never been a sheriff before. Okay. That's not an excuse. The claim is, his claim to fame is he was a federal agent before this, that he was a U.S. Marshal or something like that. Oh, okay. I hold them, or at least we should be able to hold them to a higher standard than our local law enforcement. Right? Wrong. Yeah. The bottom line, he wasn't laying down any law here. He was talking to him, fishing, asking, and, thank God he didn't do anything to her, because they didn't tell him to, I guess.
Thank you.
To me, it looks like he walks up to her. To me, it doesn't look like he said anything. To me, it looks like he walks up to her and motions for her to come with him.
Mhm.
There's no penalty to it, just ejection.
Okay. Thank you.
Watch. Yep, I would sue this man into the Stone Age.
The code is up in the overlays.
A governing body may adopt reasonable rules or policies governing the conduct of a meeting, including any of the following: reasonable restrictions on the time allotted for attendees to speak on a topic, reasonable steps to maintain order during a meeting with respect to attendees of the elected officials or governing body, a procedure for the presiding members of the governing body to issue warnings to attendees who disrupt a meeting, subject to subsection G, The procedure may provide that if attendees receive 3 warnings, the presiding member of the governing body may, upon issuing the 3rd warning, direct
them to be removed.
the governing body must notify attendees of any rules or policies that are adopted under this section by posting the rules or policies in a visible area at the entrance of the meeting or location, making announcement of the rules or policies at the meeting before taking oral public comment. And I think they do. I think they have done that. So they have the ordinance. That's the thing that Catherine took a picture of. They have posted it on the billboard at the front of the when you walk in. And I think that they do say, you know, like, remember, you've got to keep blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think they would fit that category. You know, these are some interesting things. These are definitely some, I love that this was put out. That I was looking for this. And yeah, right. I'm not an attendee. I'm a citizen. I don't know who an attendee is. I'm not attending anything. I think this looks bad on Beeman. I'll put it to you this way. This makes me feel less happy about Beeman. Like, I was still saying a lot of good things yesterday about him. This changes a lot of that. Just to end her up here, we'll show you what happens. So he collects her.
Is your comment about the new money request?
It is.
Once this is finished, then we'll have you begin.
And Beeman, I'm telling you, buddy, October 8th. All right. So that's that lawsuit material, in my opinion. No question. That's that. Okay. You guys have a good night. God bless. Take care. And